WS or Q. You are not providing anything, and still you want to extract the work for infinite time. Not possible. So without any energy input, you cannot extract work from a device for infinite period. No. So that's why it's called perpetual motion machine of first kind. Okay. How people try to create such device, and then later on it came to know that everyone came to know that there was a fault in the device. I'll show you. Okay. In the next class. Today we are let's come to our agenda. That what the equivalence of. So now we are going to see the equivalence of this Kelvin Planck and Clausius statement. Okay. Do you know anyone, any other legendary person whose name was Clausius, apart from this thermodynamic guy from thermodynamics? Any other person which is very, I mean, he's not, you can say it's not contemporary to us, but maybe our previous generation, he was very contemporary and very vocal. Do you know the name of such person? Anyone can guess? His first name was Clausius. Sorry?
In a play of William Shakespeare. I don't remember the name.
Oh, no. He was a real character, like living legend.
Muhammad Ali.
Yes, true. His name was Clausius Clay. So, yeah, because his original name was Clausius K. Muhammad Ali. So that was another Clausius. He was also a legend. I think he just expired few years ago, I guess. He was suffering from this Parkinson disease. Okay, so since this Clausius came into my mind, this just stuck in my mind there. Okay, so let's see the equivalence of this Kelvin Planck and Clausius statement. So we will show that how they are equivalent. What we are going to do as follows. We will say, because since these both are a statement for a law, we cannot prove it in absolute sense, but there is some indirect way to show it that these both are equivalent. Okay, let's say they are not equivalent. It means that if KP statement is true, what I'm saying to say, let's say that Kelvin Planck statement is true, whereas Clausius statement is false. Let's say we are claiming that. This is our claim. Now let's see where this claim leads to. Okay. So what we are going to do as follows. So we have a thermal reservoir at TH, because when we are talking about this statement, we are playing with heat engine. Okay. And then we have a sink, a reservoir at lower temperature, TL. So practically TH and TL remain constant, because these are bodies of very large heat capacity, and the amount of heat transfer that QH and QL are small, so small that they won't be able to change the temperature of the reservoir in practical sense. Okay. So what we are saying is that, let's say, just a minute. Okay, rather we should go first this way. Then it will be easy, and then we will reverse it back. So first say that this is true, Clausius statement is true, and Kelvin Planck statement is false. If Kelvin Planck statement is false, it means that you can create a device, right? You can create a device so that. So what is Kelvin Planck statement? That if you are extracting heat from a high temperature body, you cannot completely convert it into work. But if you are saying its KP statement is false, it means I can do it. So it's a cyclic device, let's say heat engine, you put arrow, and you are completely converting into work. Up to this one, it's fine. So what I'm saying, Kelvin Planck statement is false and Clausius statement is true. If Kelvin Planck statement is false, I can create this PMMSK, right? Arjav, you are following me?
Yes,
Arjav?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So since we are saying that Kp is false, this device is possible, right? We can convert Q completely into W. That is our, according to our claim, if Kp is false and Clausius is true, right? Okay. Now draw another device which is working according to Clausius statement, because we are saying Clausius statement is true. So let's make it. So yes, Arjav, help me. So let's say this is a heat engine. Okay, or some device working cyclically. It will be a pump, not heat engine. So then,
Sir.
according to Clausius statement, what I should show here?
Sir, it should be like if work is provided to it.
Yeah. So there it will extract some QL only if you provide some work, right?
Yes, sir.
And then QH will go up. What is QH, Arjav? In from first law, what we can say, because first law is always valid. What is QH?
Sir, it's
Okay, don't say QH, then say Q1, otherwise it will be confusing. One minute, huh? Just to give me a minute. Let's say Q1, so that Q1 and QH are different. Huh? So yeah, so now let's talk about this QH. So QH is equal to what?
E1 plus W.
Yeah. So this is according to the Clausius statement. That Clausius statement is true, and this blue one, this one, is according to the claim that Kp is false. So Kp is false, Clausius is true. That's how our device looks like. Now Arjav will help us. Tell me, Arjav, that what is the net heat absorption or extraction, whatever you think, from for this thermal reservoir.
From this
top thermal reservoir, what is the net heat input?
QH minus Q1.
Yes, very good. So what we are writing is very good. Here, net heat input to TH, high temperature thermal reservoir, as he said, is QH minus Q1. Very good. Okay. Now, let's say that your Clausius device needs work, right, Arjav?
Yes, sir.
So whatever work you are extracting from this Kelvin Planck device, give it. So you need W, right? Remember, you need W. You need this. So rather than giving, so okay. Now what I will do this. Whatever work, so I have taken two devices, right? Remember my statement carefully. I have taken two devices. One works according to against Kp, one work against Kp, another device follow Clausius. So
yes,
I have
sir.
device 1 and device 2. Okay, let's say device 1 and device 2. So whatever work output is coming from device 1, I will give it to device 2 and give it to device 2. So your device 2, this Clausius device got some work, right?
Yes, sir.
And you are extracting a QL, and then this QL plus W go as QH, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is this? Okay. So if now listen carefully, and then you help me. That if you would like to draw so now what is the statement? Listen carefully. I want to combine these two devices. So two cyclic devices. Let's say there is I can see as a black box. This is one device. This is, let's say this is combination device. Let's say combination. Okay. This is a combo device. If I draw this diagram for this combo device, it will look like here. And then we have this TL, and then we have this combo device. Okay. Now tell me, Ajay, that how much this how much is the heat extraction from lower temperature for this combo device?
How much is the heat extraction
from QL, right? That's what you see. You see this green boundary?
QL plus Q1 is coming and QH is extracting.
No. I'm saying that see this pink boundary. This is your device, right? So how much heat is it is extracting from TL? QL, right?
Yes, sir. TL, yeah, TL से QL, हाँ.
QL to yeah, right? Exactly. So that's right. Write down QL. QL. Okay. And how much it is passing to hot temperature body?
It's QH.
QH. And no, QH minus Q1.
QH minus Q1, sorry. Net heat is QH minus Q1.
Q1. Do you think any work? No.
No,
work,
sir.
Work is internal, right? One
Yes, sir.
device is passing, so there is no work. Now,
No, sir.
apply first law for this device 1. First law
QH minus Q1.
for device
Minus
1.
QL.
Device 1. This device.
Device.
Q1 equals to W.
Yes, sir. Q1 equals W.
Okay. And if you see this device 2, for device 2, what we have written? QH equals to QL plus
QW.
W.
Oh, sorry, W.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Now I can replace W by Q1 from here.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
I get QH equals to QL plus Q1.
So
right?
we could have also directly replaced W, as we are seeing KP is false. So KP कहता है कि जितनी heat जा रही है उससे कम work provide करेगा.
W is Q1. I just elaborate. Yes. The W is Q1. That's what you are saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fine. So what is QH minus Q1 by the way? QL, isn't it? From here,
Yes.
QH
Yes,
minus
sir. Yes, sir.
QL. It means I can replace this QH minus Q1 as QL.
Yes, sir.
So what? Where we reached? We said Clausius statement is true, and at the end we are ending with contradiction with Clausius, isn't it? Yes, because Clausius said you cannot do that. See what you are doing here. You are extracting heat from a low temperature body and transferring it from high to a high temperature body without any network.
Yes, sir.
Your combo device, when you combine these two devices, because the net effect on thermal reservoir is still same.
Yes, sir.
So your combo device is extracting QL, and then it is transferring it from low temperature to high temperature body without any work. It is against. This is against Clausius. This is against Clausius. So on one hand, starting from your claim, you said Clausius statement is true, and at the end you are getting contradiction with Clausius statement. It means our claim was wrong that KP is false. That's how we prove it. It simply means that if you say KP is false, at the end you will get contradiction with what you said is true. So you're saying KP is false, Clausius is true, and when you do this exercise, you found that there is contradiction with your this Clausius claim that Clausius was true, because you are getting device against Clausius. Okay. Now take some time, 1 or 2 minutes, to think over it. If you have anything come in your mind, clear your doubt. Then we'll move. Okay, let's do for since we are saying equivalence, now reverse the statement. Okay, and you try. I mean, you means all of you, and let's see that then it will be more clear. Okay, you have to see the net effect on thermal reservoir. For example, here the net effect of thermal reservoir, what? QH minus Q1 was input to TH, and QL we were extracting from TL. But eventually QH minus Q1 came out to be QL. Okay, let's do the reverse one. Since we are saying equivalence, you have to prove in both ways. So we said KP is false, Clausius is true. Now we will say that KP is true and Clausius is false. Now you have to try. I will first false. Okay, so let me draw a TH here and then a TL. Okay, great. So Bhavna, you try this time. So first KP is true. So make a device which follows Kelvin-Planck statement. Tell me what I should draw.
It is extracting heat from TH and releasing to TL. And
this is a KP device. Just a minute. KP device. working cyclically. It is extracting heat from hot
TH.
temperature. Okay? Yeah, TH. So let's say Q1. Okay, and then
Doing
it
some-
is doing some work. Very good. W, right? And then losing some.
And releasing some heat.
Let's say Q. Okay, great. Now, so this is following Kp. Then you are saying Clausius is false. If Clausius is false, then what I'm going to say, there is a device which is against Clausius. Okay, if it is against Clausius, I will purposefully choose that it is taking Q from this body and transferring Q to hot body, because I'm saying Clausius is false, so I can create such device that whose only work is, whose only function is that it, without any external work, it can transfer heat from low temperature to high temperature body. This is our claim. That's what we are claiming, and according to claim, I can make such device. Okay, if you'll see the net effect on this, what we call thermal reservoir. So what is the heat input, Bhavna, to this, or you can say how much heat we are extracting, let's say, from this thermal reservoir? Net what okay, what I'm going to do, I'm combining these two devices, and then you can try. Yeah, so tell me that how much is the heat we are taking from high temperature body for this blue color boundary, which is our combined device.
minus
Very good. Q1 minus Q. Perfect. So that is the net effect of on Q1 minus Q. Okay, and that's all. These two gets cancelled out, right? In fact, wait, rather than cancel out, tell me that how much heat was required for your this anti-Clausius device, Q, right? So rather than giving it from low temperature body, I can always direct this output to your device, right, Bhavna?
Yeah, we can do that.
Right? So it means that net effect on TL is nothing. You are not taking anything from TL. Okay, and we have one more branch, this W. So this whole thing can be converted easily into this. This whole thing can be converted to this. Now what we are getting, that you are taking heat from a single body, Q1 minus Q, and you are converting it into W. Is it possible? No.
No.
Against Kp, whereas you said Kp is true. So that's all. We have contradiction with Kp. Don't take it as a proof. It's just to convince you that both statements are true. Okay, it's not a proof. So you practice. Don't, I mean, there is no need to practice, but try to do it at least once. That yes, these two statements are equivalent. If they are not equivalent, then even if one is false, one is true, other should be false, and there shouldn't be any contradiction with the original true statement, right? So when we say Kp is true and Clausius is false, and when we proceeded, we found that at the end we are getting something which is contradictory with our Kp statement, which we said is true. So our claim was wrong. It means both statements are true and equivalent. Okay. Yeah, so that is a very conventional way to say that. That's all. I will not discuss more on this. What you should remember is the bottom line, and or you can say that the bullet points which you should remember, that if you will take if your device which works cyclically, if this device is taking heat from the hot temperature body, then you cannot convert it completely into work. Some energy will be gone to the environment, provided your device is cyclic. Then another statement or another law of nature, you can say, is that you cannot simply transfer heat from low temperature body to high temperature body without doing any work. You have to do some work. Okay. So according to first law, all these things are possible. Second law put some restriction. Okay. That if you want to transfer heat from low temperature body to high temperature body, you have to do some extra work. Fine. Now what is more important? Okay, a very important question. I'll try to confuse you and then I'll give you the answer. So we said that heat to work not 100%. So it is, so if you define efficiency, it is always less than 1. Okay, means 100% conversion is impossible. Is it always true? Or what I should say, with more emphasis, anyone can guess? Is it always true that you cannot convert completely heat into work 100%?
Yes, sir.
I haven't left anything. Are you sure?
Sir, for cyclic processes, it's true.
Cyclic. Okay. If now I'll give an example where you can do this. This is possible 100% if it is non-cyclic. For example, yes. So remember this cycle. If it's not a cycle, this conversion is possible. So for non-cyclic process, yes, it is possible that heat can be converted into work. 100% conversion is possible. Yes. I'll give a simple example. Take a reservoir, let's say TH, okay, and then put your gas chamber in contact with this reservoir, and then there is a piston, okay, and make sure that you can say it's a isothermal expansion. Basically, you provide so basically that gas temperature and thermal reservoir temperature are almost same. So T gas is roughly equal to TH. Achha, why I'm not showing exactly same? Can anyone tell me? Why I'm not saying exactly identical?
We want quasi-static process.
Yeah, or in other words, you can say you want to transfer some amount of heat, right? You want some dq passing from this reservoir to your system. So there should be some temperature difference, but that is very small. Okay, so this delta T is tending to 0, where delta T is TH minus T gas. Okay, so you can say dt is TH minus T gas. So very small amount of heat is transferring to this. Okay, so that thermal reservoir also remains constant temperature, and here also temperature, and then you are using that heat into work, so it is quasi-statically expanding. So very small amount of heat to transfer. So don't keep this TH continuously in the contact. You bring it contact with the gas, some heat will go, gas will expand slightly. Again, bring it in contact with this heat reservoir. Again, slight. So what will happen? See, let's say your this is, so let's say this, your gas temperature is T gas, okay, which is slightly less than TH. You can say TH minus TT is T gas. When you will bring them in contact, delta Q will be transferred to gas, okay, and there will be some expansion. Fine. So there will be some expansion. So let's say it has moved here. Okay. Then again, after some time, again you once this slight movement is done, then again you bring it back this front to this in the contact with your thermal reservoir. Okay. So this way, every time you are converting heat to work 100%, provided there are no frictional losses. But this is not a cyclic device. It's a unidirectional device. Okay. So that's why I discussed this. Yes, you can convert heat into work if it's a unidirectional process, and if you can minimize the frictional losses or any other heat loss, like you are making sure that whatever heat is transferring, it is from hot temperature body, it is going to gas, nowhere else. So if you can minimize losses, energy losses, then for a unidirectional process, yes, it is possible. Okay. So don't think that when we say heat cannot be converted into work 100%, it's not always true. It's only true for cyclic device. Why we put cyclic? Because most of the time we deal with heat engines, refrigeration. So most of the device which run in continuous mode, they run in cyclic manner. There is a running fluid, Either it's a refrigeration cycle, there is a refrigerant fluid. If it's a heat engine, then that burning fuel. Okay, so these devices always works in cyclic manner, and that's why this concept become important, that when you are trying to convert heat into work with a device which works in cyclic manner, you cannot do it 100%. Okay. So that is I discussed, because somebody can ask you that are you saying this statement is it always true? So say that no, if it is cyclic, if it is non-cyclic, there may be the possibility of 100% conversion. Okay, great. So we have seen the equivalence of these two statements. This cyclic thing is very important. Now we will go to efficiency of engines, and we'll read two theorems, Carnot theorem 1 and Carnot theorem 2. Before that, we need to know Carnot cycle, and before that, we need to know reversible and irreversible process. So who would like to give some input? What is a reversible process? So in a process, what are the things involved? System and surrounding. Remember. System plus surrounding. Now, anyone wants to give some input that what is reversible process?
It is a process in which system and surrounding can be restored back to its original position.
Yes, so both system and surrounding. System as well as surrounding. Both should come back to its original position when you reverse the direction of the process. Generally, it is very easy for system, but for surrounding, generally it's not easy. Okay. So what if so let's talk about reversible heat transfer. Let's say there are two bodies, A and B. Here the temperature is T, and here temperature is T minus delta T. Okay. Now, just a moment. So now let's say what will happen when these two bodies will come in contact. Let's say some delta Q amount of heat goes into this body. Okay. So what will happen? So your system, okay, what is our starting point? Keep in, what is the starting point? Our starting point is that body A is at temperature T. So this is our stage 1. Let's say stage 1. Our body A is at temperature T, and our body B is at temperature T minus delta T. When you will bring them in contact, what will happen? Heat will flow from A to B. Okay. When this heat flows, let's say what will happen? The temperature of body B will increase. Okay. Let's say it goes to a new temperature, T minus delta T plus delta T1. Some increment. Okay. Fine. You agree? Okay. So this is let's say this body will so you are extracting heat from this. So just a moment. I have to do it very carefully. Just wait. Give me a minute, huh? Because this is here I have to be very careful. So okay, let me put. Wait, I have to again do it, huh? Because this is very important concept, and I have to be also very extremely careful while explaining you that what does mean by restoration of both system and surrounding. Very important that you understand this example. Okay. What we will do that let's say that there is a heat reservoir. Okay, there is a heat reservoir at T plus, TH plus, or you can say not TH, right? T plus delta T. Okay, and so this is our system one, or you can say surrounding, and there is another which is this fish. We have gas in a piston, and let's consider isothermal expansion, isothermal process, where T is the temperature of this gas. Let's say only T. Okay, so if this is isothermal expansion, and if I want to keep the temperature of the gas constant, what we have to do? Of course, this is surrounded from all other sides. Yes, Sneh, what do you think? That if your gas is working, expanding, and still you want the temperature should remain constant, what you have to do?
There should be like, there is always a heat.
First, forget about this. Just forget about the reservoir. I'm saying, let's say I will give you a gas. Okay, its temperature is T, and at that temperature you want to expand it isothermally. So what you have to provide, or you can do it without providing anything. Or the direct question is, do we need to provide heat? Or
Yes,
without?
we need to
Yes,
provide.
because if your gas is working and if you will not provide anything, then it will consume its own energy. So its temperature will decrease, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
then you have to provide heat. Now, how we provide heat? You remember from our very first class that in the beginning with that heat interaction means there should be a temperature difference, right? By the virtue of temperature difference, the energy transfer is called heat. You agree? That's what we
Yes.
said, heat. So it means we have to bring a body which is at higher temperature. So I am bringing this thermal reservoir which is at temperature T plus delta T. So what will happen, Sneh? Heat will go from
Reservoir gas.
Great. So let's say expansion has taken place and piston has moved to a new position. So what we will do that once you have taken the heat from it, okay, once you have taken the heat from this, now you do, so you wanted some expansion, you did it, and then eventually let's say your piston is at its new position. Okay. And then of course your temperature again is at T, because that was the whole purpose, that you are providing heat so that heat will go to work. There is no change in the temperature of gas, right? So this is our new position. So that's how it moved. It went here. Now let's bring back it. Since we are checking the reversibility of the process, we are bringing it back. Okay. So when you will compress the gas. Okay, so this is expansion. This is expansion. And then this is compression. So now Sneh, tell me that you are compressing the gas. It means you are working on the gas. And it should be isothermal. Why? Because what we are saying that we are trying to reverse the process. So our expansion process was isothermal, right? So our compression process will be also isothermal, right? Because we are trying to revert it back. Okay. So if you want to keep the temperature constant during compression, okay, compression also should be isothermal. What you need to do? You are providing extra energy to your system, and still temperature is constant. What do you need to do? You have to
heat should be
yeah. It means that amount of Q should come out from the system. But the moment you say that this delta Q amount should come out of the system, what you need? A body at low temperature, isn't it?
Yes.
Then only it will heat interaction. So what we will be needing? T minus delta T, isn't it? Otherwise heat will not transfer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you see here in this example is that, so let's say when you do this compression, again your piston comes back to its original position here. So during this expansion followed by compression, you restored the condition of that gas. The piston is original position, temperature is T. So you restored, so system get restored. Perfect. What about surrounding? The surrounding has changed. We have new surrounding, T minus delta T. It's not the original surrounding which we got. So have we restored the surrounding? No. Okay. Because in order to transfer the heat from gas, or in order to maintain its temperature constant, you have to take heat from the system. And for taking it, you have to bring the different surrounding, a different thermal reservoir. It means the surrounding is not same, or original surrounding was not working. You are unable to do this process by restoring the original surrounding. You bring a different surrounding. Surrounding is nothing but this reservoir. So it means if delta T is finite, system cannot be restored. Surrounding cannot be restored. System can, but surrounding cannot. Surrounding, because you change your surrounding. You had no other way. Cannot be restored. Okay.
But sir, according to that Clausius law, if we do work, then we can transfer heat from low temperature body to high temperature body.
Sorry, come again. No, but then so you are saying that of course you can, but you need the extra work. Okay. What we are missing here is first law. Sneh. See, you are providing how much amount of heat? Your point is right. How much dou Q, right? And let's say your piston moves here. So some work has been done. So that work goes to delta W gas. Okay. Now when you are compressing it, okay, when this see basically how you do that this thing, you are doing it quasi-statically. So if you want to keep the temperature constant, right, then what we call so in order to so it goes up. So in order to compress, we are providing, so whatever work you are doing, right, whatever work you are doing, no, come again, I didn't get your point. We can convert okay, fine, I got your point. So Clausius, so but then that delta W I am keeping exactly equal to dou Q. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So you have to do some extra work. What we are saying is right, but apart from this delta W gas, you provide more work. I am not providing more work. Whatever I was converted this delta Q into work, I am providing same amount of work. How we can do that, I'll show you. You remember that block experiment where we were putting 4 or 5 blocks, and one by one we were removing, and then if you want to revert it back, you have to again put those blocks. Okay, keep this point on hold, Sneh. But I think slightly you got that what I'm trying to say, that delta Q is equal to delta W gas by first law. Okay, so if you want that statement is true, Clausius statement, you have to provide some extra energy. right? If you want to make this transfer possible, low temperature to high temperature body, isn't it? You said you were trying to restore the system, right? You wanted to keep it T plus delta T and wanted a heat transfer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you said that it is possible according to Clausius. It is possible. Okay. Since you have opened this point, let me clarify what you are saying. What Sneh is saying that, sir, if you want to restore the system, so this is a compression step, huh? Compression. So keep the same environment. Don't make it T plus delta T, T minus delta T. Keep T plus delta T. Then what Sneh suggestion is that now let's say it is getting compressed and it will come here. It's in its new position, right? So let's say when during expansion, we know that delta Q given to the system was delta W by gas. This time same amount of work will be done on, listen carefully. So same amount of work will be done on piston, delta W on gas. So from first law, this same amount, okay? This is, let's say these two are equal. This is equal, numerically equal to delta W by gas. So that will be equal to, say, what? Same amount of dou Q?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. It means you have to extract this much heat. So whatever you will work, so if you want to do that, remember this is not possible. You have to do some extra work. If you are trying, see what you are saying, that the gas is at T and you are transferring dou Q. That's what you are saying, Sneh. Am I right up to this point? T dou Q T plus delta T. And you are saying, sir, you are doing some work also, right? How much work? You are saying, sir, we are giving work. So according to Clausius, why it is not possible? Am I framing your question correctly first? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But then you see delta W gas is equal to dou Q numerically. So you have to provide some more work in order to do this. Okay?
Yes, sir.
But I'm not providing extra work. Okay? Restoring means whatever work was done by the gas, same work you have to return. Okay, Sneh?
Yes, sir.
You cannot return extra work. So if you are returning same work to this, that everything will go to dou Q. And in order to transfer that dou Q, since you are not providing any extra work, Clausius will not work. And the only way to transfer heat from this body is that you have to bring a reservoir which is at low temperature.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, so it's very difficult to grasp this thing in one lecture, but I hope it makes slight sense for you. Okay, I'm glad you guys are asking, but it will take time. Okay, fine, but at least remember the important point. Okay, so I think I answered partially to Sneh. He can discuss me later on. I'm sure I can convince him, but you also think more and more what I'm trying to say. That you need, yeah, thank you. Okay, so what I was saying, that if delta T is finite, surrounding cannot be restored. It means for finite delta T, process cannot be reversible. Then what this process can be, what we should call this process, where we have this finite delta T, what we named it, remember? This process is internally reversible. What you call quasi-static, where only system is getting restored. You remember we defined it. Only system is getting restored, surrounding no restoration. Such kind of process is called internally reversible. Internally reversible. What if we can restore both? That is called reversible. Of course, in practical sense, it is not possible. When it is possible, can anyone answer? In what approximation? When delta T tends to 0. That's all. That is the answer. In that case, you ignore this delta T. You know. See, right now what we are saying. Right now what we are saying, that the surrounding was during expansion, the surrounding was T plus delta T, and during compression, my surrounding is T minus delta T. So both surrounding are not same. These are not same. Under what condition they will be close to each other? Tell me, Bhavna. They are not same right now. T plus delta is not equal to T minus delta T. But it is possible under some approximation. What is that approximation?
Delta T is approximately.
That's it. So delta T is very small. And hence, that's what I'm going to write, that reversible heat transfer is possible practically, not in absolute sense, for delta T tends to 0. Means very small temperature difference. Okay. Similarly, you can define it for work reservoir also. But anyway, this example is sufficient enough. What do I mean to say reversible and irreversible process? Now I'll give you one more example regarding work. Okay. So we have discussed reversible heat transfer, that the temperature difference should be very small between those two bodies. Okay, the thermal reservoir and your system. Okay. And that's why we read the concept of thermal reservoir, because thermal reservoir is so large that if we are doing very small amount of heat transfer, we can assume practically its temperature remain constant. It means this, your surrounding is never changing. Does it make sense, Bhavna? That's why this concept of thermal reservoir came into the picture. The definition, you remember that this body is so large, I mean the heat capacity is so large that due to this small dq, there will not be significant change in the temperature of the reservoir. Why you want to say want such reservoirs, Bhavna? What do you think? Why?
Like if its temperature will be changing, then we won't be able to carry out the process for the long time.
Or you won't be able to achieve the reversible process, you can say. You can, but reversible process is not. Okay. So to achieve practically reversible processes involving heat transfer, of course, we need such heat reservoirs whose temperature we need such. Why, Sneh? Why we need such heat reservoirs?
Because temperature of the wall will not change, so delta T will be tending to.
System is always surrounding is always restored, right?
Yes.
What was it in the beginning is same at the end also. That's all. Okay. Think over it, you all. That what I'm saying. Listen the lecture again and again, and then you come back. These things are not very easy. I mean, it will take some time to grasp these things. Okay, very quickly about the work, and then you can leave. If you remember an example, and it should be in my slide. Why don't I open my slides? Okay, let me go through the slides. It will help really faster. Because that is very important. Now we are talking about reversible work, and that is so important from now onwards that we cannot skip that. So I have to go to desktop. Just 2 minutes and you can leave. Where teach? No, should be in some lecture. Okay, I can't see it. Let me go to your Teams. Teams files. At least I'll just show you that example, which you can think over that, and then tomorrow we'll meet. I will not discuss. Don't worry. Understand your class. Lecture 1. Class materials. Where is lecture 1? Maybe here. Oh, no, lecture 1 we have that thing. Let me see. So it's going to take enormous time. Here. You remember this example? In this example, what we figured out, that if you do it in more and more steps, the same change, the same process, this expansion process, if you do it in more steps, higher amount of work you can extract from the gas. So rather than 4 blocks, I'll make it 16 blocks and more and more. What eventually I can do, there was block of mass M kept on this, right? What I can do, I will convert it into very fine particles. Very fine particles. Let's say means 20,000 particles. And if I'll do the same thing, this gas, and there are 20,000 particles, let's say, and every time of course practically it's not possible, but every time I'll remove one particle, what will happen? Gas will expand. So in case 1, 2, 3, 4 here, this is case 4. In which case I'll get the maximum work from gas? 4. So 4. This is so 4. What you should remember for tomorrow's class, that maximum possible work in any process, maximum possible work in any process is process very close to reversible process. That's all you should remember. So W reversible is the maximum amount of work which you can obtain in a process. Maximum amount of work. With this notion, you go through this slide again. It is in lecture 2, slide 9. That maximum amount of work is in reversible process, because we will be needing this again and again. That's why I discussed this example at that time. Okay, that this W reversible, W gas in a reversible process is the maximum amount of work which you can extract from a gas. Okay, thank you guys. I know 2 hours is always difficult, but what we can do. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Yeah, you have another lecture, so you can leave. No problem.